everybody. Welcome back to Esports Chat number 8. My name is Panda, and I am back again with Edgar. He has been very nice to come here, drop some of his wonderful knowledge, opinions, and whatnot on some interesting topics that have popped up. I'd say throughout the past 2 weeks, the esports and honestly the whole gaming community, we've been under a bit of a interesting dynamic going on right now. Turmoil seems to be popping up here and there with orgs and with contracts issues and stuff. But today we have a reveal trailer for the new Call of Duty, which is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. There's a bunch of great topics to talk about today. So with that, the first one we will talk about is the reveal trailer that we got today. Um, what are your thoughts on it, Edgar? What did you think? Did you think it was a little too flashy, or did you think that it was enough to get the fans excited?
Well, see, I thought the trailer was pretty interesting because I had a few callbacks to the previous games. Like, I know, I guess what Clayster was tweeting today is like, here are my predictions for the trailer: helicopter scene, some guns firing, some vaulting over a table, all that sort of stuff. It turned out pretty much to be correct, but
Yep.
so I was, they're kind of throwing it back to those OGs out there who played the original Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, and enjoy that style of gameplay. I mean, they're playing on a little bit of nostalgia, but it doesn't mean that the game's going to be bad.
Yeah.
And looks like it's gonna be boots on the ground again, and probably no specialists, something like that. So won't be very Overwatchy anymore.
Mhm.
So, I'm excited to see how that goes, but hopefully it's still pretty fast paced though, because I think viewers really like the fast paced games
Yeah,
that the Black
especially
Ops series generally had.
yeah. Especially with it being cross-platform, opens up a lot of different opportunities because we both know, a game that runs seemingly well on PlayStation 4, Xbox, whatever, doesn't necessarily run the same way on PC. Um, so I'm certainly interested to see how it runs because I've always played Xbox for Call of Duty. But this past year I switched to PC. Seems like there's going to be a switch to PC with controller through the COD burner leaks and just different rumors going around. Do you think the players would be down for that, doing playing on PC and using a controller, whether it be Xbox, PlayStation, whatever?
I think so, and the thing is, remember that it's not going to be too hard for the developers to program in something so that player base is split between either controllers, no matter what platform you're playing on, or
Mhm.
mouse and keyboard. Also means you can plug in your mouse and keyboard into your Xbox One right there, have native support, just be paired up against other players that might be on PC that are running mouse and keyboard. That's what's really interesting what Activision's doing and a few of these other publishers. Trying to change the dichotomy of because it's traditionally been PC versus console, right?
Mhm.
Instead, they're trying to take that and go perpendicular and bifurcate it differently and separate it out into input devices. So, mouse and keyboard is one group of players, and then the other group is just going to be controller players.
Mhm.
So, especially with the latest gen consoles that are out there right now, and I'm sure with the Xbox 720 or whatever they're going to call it, the Xbox 2, PlayStation 5, something like that out there. It's interesting though because with the PS4 and the Xbox One, pretty much AMD right there and there, and they're pretty much just pre-packaged mini computers. So I've already seen the industry moving this way for a while. So it's going to be kind of interesting that Activision's taking the big step here with their large AAA titles that traditionally people wouldn't want to mix input devices for. And personally, I think it's fine because I think Smite right now has matchmaking that's either controller or mouse and keyboard. So after a while, I think players are going to adapt to it. And then if you think about it, they're just going to see the PC as a better performing machine. And if they really want to invest that much cash in a PC or for any of those amateur players out there, that's perfectly fine. But if they
Mhm.
want to just stick on their console or whatever, that's fine as well too. Choose the input device you like. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I've played on. At least for Black Ops 4 anyway. I've played on PC using a controller. And it feels slow as hell. However, when I play with a keyboard and mouse, it almost feels like too fast, and even then you can tell through PC that there's clearly, hackers, because Activision doesn't really focus on the PC servers too much, since obviously, exclusivity with PlayStation and all that. But I would definitely, like, I'm down for it. Like, right now, me personally, I don't enjoy PlayStation systems, their controllers. If that means we don't get Xbox back, but we get to try out PC, and we get different things like refresh rate, higher frames than 30 or 60 frames per second, like, I'm okay with it. And I think the players would be too, just because of the fact, like you said, it just allows them to be. It's PC's better. It's been proven, and if they're going to be able to do these things that will finer tune their accuracy, gunplay, things like that, why not? Makes it more competitive.
Definitely. Well, see, the thing is with the franchise, since I primarily play on PC now,
Hmm.
franchise does not play well on PC with mouse and keyboard. They, well, actually, this year they're smart enough to start balancing them separately. So console, PC had different balancing patches and stuff.
Yep.
Because when the game first came out, Black Ops 4, the dual SOGs were broken. So broken. The Paladin was
Yeah.
broken. The thing is, you could sneak up on somebody with an ICR. You could put 2 or 3 into their back, not miss, but they have enough time to turn around and shoot you. Then you're dead.
I've had that done to me so many times. I have been turned on so many times on PC COD. I'm just like, I was never used to this. But it's PC controller, like, keyboard mouse. Of course that's going to happen. It's a flick. Like,
Yeah.
some of these
Yeah.
kids playing, these first person shooters on PC, like, they've been doing it for years. This is nothing to them. While us
See,
playing on controllers, we're not used to that.
now, see, that's the thing too. It's because Call of Duty, its roots are really the console and the controller and that sort of stuff. So people rely on auto aim. But then you look at a franchise, something like Battlefield or Arma. Like in Battlefield, it's really difficult to play that with a controller because there's a separate headshot multiplier. The players are naturally aiming for the head, especially in like the earlier games. Not really the earlier games, but the entries in series about 8 years ago. So Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, you couldn't full auto your gun. You had to pretty much tap fire or burst fire. And you had to prioritize headshots.
Hmm.
Because if some dude's just hip firing and spraying into your body, you can probably jump turn on him and blast him in the face a few times, and you'll take him down. So that's something that it's different right now
Hmm.
between controllers on console and mouse and keyboard on PC. Obviously, they're going to have to change the balancing on that. But the other interesting thing is too with CDL next year, based on, well, not next year. I guess was it a few years from now or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Eventually, they're going to move to PC there just for that higher performance, just like 2K League, and then probably still mandate controllers. I'd
Yep.
assume, especially if that's what the player base wants, that's what the fan base wants. And yeah, it's not like the pros are going to have to sit there and play GBs or anything like that at all. So
Hmm.
I don't really see an
Yeah.
issue. Them running into keyboarders like, okay, you want to practice against dudes running keyboards. I don't think Seth is going to have to worry about Silly using a mouse and keyboard against him in a scrim.
No,
It's like,
even
yeah.
then, like, there's I believe the two games out right now that have input based matchmaking are Fortnite and Rocket League and Smite, like you said. So I mean, if they can do it, why can't Activision do it? And even
Well,
then, if it's going to be competitive, they're going to mandate one.
of course. And well, that's the thing. They already have it there, and especially with Microsoft building out native controller support on PC,
Mhm.
not really a big deal. Like, for example, if you play Assassin's Creed or something on PC, and then you have a controller plugged in, and obviously you have your mouse and keyboard plugged
Mhm.
in. Move the mouse around or press any of the keys on the keyboard, the UI updates. So if let's say you're in the inventory, it might be right shoulder to move to the right,
Mhm.
and then left shoulder move to the left, inventory system or something. But if you move the mouse around, it'll change all of that sort of stuff. So it'll change the right shoulder overlay to right arrow on the keyboard.
Mhm.
Or if you're running around in the game, attack or whatever,
Yeah, it
showing the X
switches.
button. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it switches on the fly like that. So
Mhm.
not going to be too difficult. And that's also the other cool thing too, I guess. This platform exclusivity going away. Players want to play on the Xbox. They can. If they want to use their SCUF controller, I guess there are some sort of adapters out there so you can use a PlayStation SCUF controller on an Xbox.
I'm sure
You
there's
can do
something
that.
out there. Yeah.
because it's like a lot of these PC guys and a lot of the people in the industry now, like I said earlier, they see consoles as just pretty much pre-packaged budget PCs. They
Mhm.
don't care that Sony or it's Microsoft or whatever. They just see those manufacturers of a PC, just like they don't care. It's like in PC, you don't really care if it's an HP or a Dell or a custom built or anything like that. So
Mhm.
that's the way they're seeing it now. So who knows? Maybe we're going to see a mix of people. You know, some guys want to play on their Xbox One, get those max frames. Some people just have a budget PS4, a standard PS4, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm interested to see that. Um People have been asking for that. At least the casual community has been asking for crossplay for, I believe it's been like the last like 3 Call of Duties. But the biggest thing people have been asking for is an engine upgrade. And according to Charlie Intel, who actually was based off of the Eurogamer report, I believe, we're getting a new engine. So this Call of Duty, we're getting a bunch of new stuff. It seems like this game, they're trying to build something that can last for a while.
Well,
Um,
hopefully.
yeah.
And that's the thing too. People don't understand. So Call of Duty is always used. I think it was the IW engine or whatever they were calling it. Pretty sure
Mhm.
it's the IW engine. I assume this is just a new major iteration of it. So instead of a incremental zero point 0.1 upgrade, it's a actual 1.0 upgrade. So it'd be pretty exciting to see, I'd imagine. But it kind of means that what we get now, we're just going to get incremental updates to it for the next 2 years. Then maybe by next time Infinity Award cycles back around, we're going to get another major update, kind of similar to the TikTok cycle that Intel's been on with the process a little bit. Yeah, should be really exciting to see what happens with the industry and actually this game and franchise itself. Though I
Yeah,
think we're in for a good time.
yeah, it says it promises to use this engine for other games and other games in the franchise that are coming. So I mean that at that point, it's just a whole it's an upgrade for everybody going around, because if it's gonna be under Activision's umbrella, we know how many games Activision Blizzard has, or whatever the hell they have
Yeah,
going on then too.
well,
And it
yeah,
looks
that
gorgeous.
yeah, it definitely does right now. And of course,
Mhm.
the IW engine was getting a little dated. But
Mhm.
really, that's why I see the three main publishers pushing right now. So EA, Electronic Arts, they have
Yeah.
Frostbite.
Yep.
Ubisoft has Snowdrop.
Mhm.
And going back to EA, Frostbite is used for everything now, from Dragon Age to Need for Speed to Battlefield. All those games, it's all, well, with the exception of Apex Legends, all of those games are based on Frostbite engine. Snowdrop was Ubisoft's engine that they used for the Division One, Division Two. Pretty advanced for its time, but then it's a little bit complicated to switch all those games to that engine. So looks like it's probably going to be our next 3 to 5 years. They're going to transition all their new games to that. I
Mhm.
guess maybe with this engine, this is what Activision's answer is to Ubisoft and Electronic Arts. Could
May-
be pretty cool to see.
Maybe, yeah. I'm seeing here the IW engine was released 13 years ago, so yeah, outdated.
Yeah, well, outdated, but if you look on that list there, you see they update it with every game iteration.
Oh
It's just
yeah.
it's kind of like saying, yeah, the Unreal Engine is dated because when did that one come out? The first
My
iteration of it.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Unreal. What was that? Late 90s or early 2000s, if not earlier.
Oh, sometime
When
around then. Yeah, so it should be really cool with yeah, Call of Duty next year. I'm excited for franchising.
Mhm.
New details are starting to come out too, but I'm sure we got that later on in the
Yep.
podcast.
Yep. Yeah, so pretty much already talked about the reveal trailer. We'll check that one off. Cross-platform Call of Duty. The last thing is that, so within Codburner slides is that he said obviously the developers are planning to switch to PC, but there's been a couple reports around already saying that it's actually going to be PlayStation 4. It's going to be getting the exclusivity deal this year. There's a Charlie Intel article. I'll send it to you too. Uh, it's just basic marketing where it always says PlayStation. Play new content first on PlayStation 4, whatever. Um, to me, this reads as DLC content first.
Well, that's the thing people don't understand too. So all these
Yeah.
past deals for CWL and all these DLC deals was just really to get that content 1 month early for whatever platform.
Mhm.
Then of course Activision as a sweetener, they're like, oh hey, yeah, on top of that too, you're going to be the official platform sponsor for our Call of Duty League. And
Yep.
remember when this first started though? This wasn't huge at all. They were playing in like some small conference rooms at hotels, which probably had 200 seats max or whatever.
Yeah, I was
So,
at
I mean,
one. I
yeah,
know.
yeah, it's kind of a different thing back in the day when all this was started. Especially even if you think about it, when we switched to PlayStation 4s from Xboxes, it still wasn't as huge as it is today.
Mhm.
Even I'd say probably towards the end of Infinite Warfare is when things really started blowing up, where we stopped having these small regional UMG type events or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's straight up CWL events with millions of dollars on the line every
Yeah,
year.
COD
That's
XP. I mean, that was honestly the first real time that we got some huge like production type show, and even then, you can't even really categorize it as a competition.
exactly more like an exhibition if you want to
Yeah,
think
it was
about
it
it.
was it was a
That's
huge
what I
promo thing with a little bit of money sprinkled on top.
Yep,
But
yep, and then
yeah,
I guess the first prize was what $10,000. I remember seeing some pictures of OpTic winning, and you
Codex,
had Seth and
yeah.
Ian and Matt there. Just no, I mean just like UMG Philly or whatever. They're just cheesing it
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
with their
Oh
sixteen
yeah.
thousand dollar check
Oh, what was
now, and
it?
that's what's
There's
funny these
photos going
days
around
because
today
like yeah,
for FaZe Day.
yeah.
Yeah, the FaZe Clan holding up like a 10K check with a big ass smile on their
I
face.
know exactly, and that was for winning first. But
Mhm.
now think about this year. So many teams and players didn't even want to go to Canada
Yeah,
play in that tournament.
cuz it was so
So it's like
low.
they don't even
Yeah.
want to get out of that. So that's why I think it's kind of cool where this industry and where the scene is going. Because imagine these brand new players that are rookies this year. The guys like the Simps, the guys like the Saliums. I guess what, a year or two from now, guys like Illy. Just
Mhm.
imagine what they're going to step into right there. They're going to, well, we're going to have the franchise league already.
Mhm.
But just imagine a guy like Illy, nasty player. And I guess what are the other young players coming up? Shotzi, those types of guys.
Yeah.
Imagine what they're going to step into. Completely professional franchise leagues, built out infrastructure, having healthcare immediately. But this is actually a viable career path now for
Mhm.
those guys that are coming up. And I think that's really exciting for them.
It is. I mean, Simps what is it? I think he graduated high school or he's just about to graduate high school. I mean, that's crazy to think that he could be working a job that could be paying him six figures and like not done high school yet. I think
It's
that's really
very
cool
cool.
for him
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
like all these other players. But also, I mean, even for some of these players like Clayster and Karma and all them who have been in this game for so long and now they can finally have something that's stable where they don't have to worry about um I mean, getting dropped is a thing, but not have to worry about, oh my god, is my check actually going to come next month or whatever.
Or if I this check, will it actually be honored at the bank?
Is this check going to
That's
get
yeah, that's something they're
charged
not going to have to
back,
worry
whatever?
about.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about being paid through PayPal anymore. They're going to get
Yeah.
direct deposit on the 15th and the 31st every month directly to their bank accounts.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. They don't have to worry about any of that sort of stuff, sign up for healthcare, all that sort of stuff. Have chefs,
That's
personal trainers,
right.
housing.
Sounds
It's
nice to me,
exciting,
man,
yeah.
honestly. And not even that for them, like it's a whole year. It's like
Well, yeah,
you're gonna
probably.
you're going to be
uh,
like protected under a contract for a year to where
Well,
you're going to be
yeah.
taken care of. Obviously, if you mess
I'd
up, if you're
say,
not good enough,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
I'd
the next
say,
year,
well,
whatever.
that's the other thing too. That's the other thing too that some people like on Reddit I didn't agree with. So many people out, well, not probably so many people, but let's say there's a sizable contingent of people that are like, this needs to go back to 4v4. Oh my God, COD sucks. It needs to go back to 4v4. I think they're thinking these players wouldn't want to agree to that. Let's assume it's 12 teams in the league next year or 16 like this year.
Mhm.
4v4 means it's 64 pros on the starting lineup total
Mhm.
as opposed to 80.
Yeah.
See here? And then that's the other thing too. So what? Slide say minimum 7 players per roster. So if it's 4v4, I'd say it's probably 6 minimum per roster. That's less pro players in the league, less people actually having these protections, all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Then probably smaller contenders rosters and all that other stuff too. But then obviously that goes into increased costs, but that ties into what we've talked about in past podcasts, how this is going to be so expensive that that's why Activision's looking for certain types of groups that fit the profile, the billionaire type of profile.
Yeah.
Outside of that, really, really interesting. And then pretty excited now too, I guess. Well, my prediction is we're going to get the multiplayer reveal trailer at Anaheim. The playoffs are probably going to get a few more Call of Duty franchise teams announced.
Okay.
And then at Champs, we're probably going to get even more of them announced. The final ones announced, or probably even the league format. Actually, the league format's probably going to come out a month after Champs, probably sometime around September or so. I assume that we're going to start playing sometime in December as well. December, January, so that's really not too far away.
No, it's not, because the game drops in October, and if you're
October 25th, I think.
October
So less than 5 months from now.
I know.
Crazy.
I think it was. I can't remember who tweeted it, but they were like, "Damn, I can't believe this year's already over." And somebody was like, "What do you mean the year's not already over?" They're like, "Dude, new COD got released. Year's over. Hype's already switching."
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like I like we were talking about it earlier privately, that like I'll even like admit to it. I'll cop to it. Call of Duty fans get so hyped over the littlest things. Like, let's be real. This trailer looked really cool, but we didn't see any gameplay. We didn't see anything that we can really analyze besides the fact of, oh, hey, look, there's a character back. Which is dope. Happy to see Price. But we don't really know anything yet. And everybody and their mother is exclaiming just like excitement, and this is going to be the best thing ever, and this is going to be the year that COD is revived. They have said this every single year.
Well, that's the thing too. It's also part of the marketing strategy behind.
Oh, it's
build up
beautiful.
Hype.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's here's something actually really interesting too. So, up until this year, the latest Battlefield release, EA always had the very best trailers for Battlefield. Like, you look at the Battlefield 1 trailer, that's the year Infinite Warfare came out or was announced. Remember how everybody was typing RIP COD, hashtag RIP COD, and Infinite Warfare's reveal trailer was the most disliked video on YouTube or something like that for a while. So what's funny is EA actually lost that guy that makes those trailers. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that Activision hired. So
yeah,
that's what's really fun about it. So Battlefield 5's trailer, just really weird, and everyone's like, really? This is what we get? And so it's kind of funny to contrast that now with COD Modern Warfare. Well, the new trailer that came out today, the reveal. See how it's hyping everybody up because it builds a story. Now it's part of the whole marketing strategy there. So so it's, I do hope the game though has a lot more promotion of the Call of Duty League that's going to be around next year because these players deserve it. I hope, on the main page it has that giant splash screen right there. It might rotate through the player picture, so you're gonna get Seth on there. You're gonna get your Aches on there. You're gonna get the brand new guys. You're gonna get your Simps and Illies on there and stuff like that too. I think that's the real way to build promotion or whatever. Maybe even have like some video that auto plays like this week in the Call of Duty League and some funny interview with one of these kids, or whatever. I'm like that. So cool, yeah. But yeah, so that's the other thing too. It's like Activision dumping so much money and resources into this thing. I can see the cross promotion there already going on.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting and exciting to see, especially since we know so much money and resources are gonna be tossed into this. There's gonna be some new things that we should be expecting, and I mean, like, for me, there's so many different things going on in esports right now. I mean, one of them, obviously, we have the whole FaZe drama going on with Tfue and that lawsuit. Then you have, like, this weird, like, 100 Thieves and FaZe rivalry. And then on the side, we have, like, OpTic doing whatever OpTic/Immortals is doing right now. And then within the next couple of months, we're going to start seeing these new, I'm going to say, entities that are being formed that were already announced. I believe it was the 6 that were announced.
5 that were announced.
Yeah, okay, alright, 5, yeah. So they're going to have to start picking up players and whatnot. So I'm interested to see if we start seeing any, like, promotion from them, or if they're going to, or if they were told by Activision to, like, sit back and let them handle the job.
That's something Activision is going to control. They're not going to let them release any sort of information until Bobby Kotick says it's okay. Bobby Kotick is obviously the CEO.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows Bobby or has dealt with him knows that he loves the big media splash. He's going to time all this sort of stuff out, choreograph it perfectly,
Mhm.
or all these teams and brands get announced as well too. So I guess they're going to probably work together with the teams on some giant reveal plan. And how Call of Duty, they're trying to scale it out and stuff, and especially with esports and stuff, because the Overwatch model has been proven to work,
Mhm.
especially with Dallas Fuel's turnout for their homestand weekend.
Yeah.
I could see Bobby trying to do something. Guess what? NYXL, the New York team, they're already in for Call of Duty next year. I could
Mhm.
probably see something like that where they have some sort of live event at Times Square, whatever that Activision pays for. I'll pay for a little bit of airtime on some of these networks or whatever, a little bit of promotion on the internet as well.
Maybe
Have this
something during
big
the
blowout
Overwatch
parade.
League finals.
Exactly. Something like that might be a thing that they'll try to cross promote. But that's the thing to understand too. It's like I've said this so many times. These guys are not dumb people that are coming into this too. This isn't something they just thought of last night or last month or last year. It's something they started talking about internally maybe 7, 8 years ago. And that's crazy to think about, right? Because imagine 7 years ago, where were Call of Duty sports in general?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People are playing for $1,000 prizes, and
Yeah.
Activision already in their minds is thinking years down the line, franchising, $25 million fees, $60
Mhm.
million fees. But that goes back to also why I said that companies like this, they think in decades.
Yeah.
They have roadmaps all the way out to 2090. They don't just think about what they're going to have for lunch tomorrow.
Mhm.
Pretty exciting to see, I think.
It is. I'm really excited. Like with the fuel event that happened down in Texas. I mean, for me, I'm gonna be honest. When I first heard of localized esports, you know, with certain teams and entities or organizations, whatever, being stuck to one city, I was like, I don't. We've been used to sitting in front of our computers and watching and cheering for so long. Um, I'm not really sure if this is gonna work. And then, of course, eat my words. I tuned into Twitter, and that stadium was sold out. I was like,
Well,
damn,
yeah. Not
sick.
only that though. Think about this, right? Look at these live crowds at all the Call of Duty events too. Look at CW London. Place was
Yeah.
rocking.
Oh, it was. I mean, of course, it also had to
So
do with the 18-year
yeah,
drinking
yeah, the
age.
alcohol,
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
but
But
I'm gonna
that
be
makes everything
honest.
better. It makes
Everybody.
everything
Oh
better.
yeah. Oh yeah. But everybody who was watching was like, "Damn, I kind of want to be there," because you wanted to cheer, you wanted to sit there and jump with everybody. Like it looks so fun.
Exactly. You wanted to be there. Even
Mhm.
thinking about Vegas, OpTic has that comeback against Splice on Seaside. You wanted to be there in the front row. So when they came back and finally won, you wanted to be the guy that was like, I was sitting in the front row and Seth hit me in the head with his headset when he ripped it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
You want to
Like,
be that
yep.
guy. You want to
Yeah.
feel that energy there.
And
You want to
definitely
see, you want
everything
to, yeah.
during London. Like, what was it? I think I was watching Trading Shots today, and they were talking about they were just like honestly by far like not the fact that 100 Thieves won their first like main title excuse me event, which is great. But everybody was just so excited with the crowd. Um, there was people who were wearing like costumes and stuff like that on the last day. I saw on
Gonna
social
happen, I
media.
guess.
They were just going all out, and if they can do that next year with these events, they will definitely be able to bring people in.
Well, that sort of stuff doesn't even surprise me. I mean, look, we have like Comic Con and stuff,
Yeah.
all these cosplayers for Overwatch and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't they show up to these events? Let's say you live out there in what Dallas or
Yeah.
whatever, or somewhere around Dallas. Why wouldn't you show up and dress up, Captain Price or whatever you want to dress up as, or as Battery?
I want to
Cosplay
know
that.
why nobody has approached Seth in the what was it, Detective Banana thing that he did for Halloween. How has nobody gone up to him and high fived him in a banana suit yet? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Somebody needs to do it. That's all I'm
Somebody
saying.
should. I mean, if somebody actually did that, somebody at
That's
Anaheim actually does
hilarious.
that. Dress up in the banana costume,
That is
whatever. You got
hilarious. Oh yeah.
a whole row of guys rallied. If you're listening, arranged that by a lot of banana
I was
outfits
about to
because
say
that's your thing,
it's
man.
Rallied Sting, the
Show up right there.
banana.
Exactly. Ral, I know you're going to watch this later, buddy. Yeah, there you go, right there. I know you're going to be at Anaheim. Get
Yeah,
your
it's
banana
everybody's going
squad.
to
Yep.
Anaheim. It's
That's,
gonna be a great
no.
time. I'm excited to like see how everything unfolds there. I know after what was it, the first event, Fort Worth, Everybody went to the library after, and the clips on social media were fun to watch. They were definitely interesting.
Well, see, that's the thing about the Anaheim setup, because where it is, the only thing you really have there is the Hilton bar and the
Mm-hmm.
Marriott bar. The Marriott's generally a little more expensive, and there's a nice restaurant in there, so everyone just hangs out at the Hilton. That's what
Mm-hmm.
happens at Anaheim. Everybody just sits there and drinks
Yeah.
because there's nothing else to do in Anaheim unless you want to go to Disney or
Mm-hmm.
you want to take the $150 Uber back to LA. But it's Call of Duty kids are not going.
No.
Definitely
No.
not doing that.
Nope.
Wait 2 hours to get into a club, pay $50 cover, and pay for $25 shots. They're not doing it.
No.
Which also, why I think Miami might be slightly overhyped for playoffs. Because I spent a lot of time down Miami. Got a condo there. Let me tell you, South Beach is going to be expensive. You're looking at $500 a night minimum hotel rooms.
Yeah.
You want to hit the clubs. You want to go to live.
Uh,
$35 shots of Patron. Guess what? Since South Beach, they auto-grad it. You're already at $42 with 20% added. Then you're going to get hit with tax on top of that. So really you're paying about $45.50 for one shot Patron. But remember, all your buddies are going to want a shot of Patron as well too. So your 3 buddies grab a shot as well. So now you're at about $182 for 4 shots.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, guess what? You paid $50 to get into that club.
Oh.
You go down the street to the Clevelander or whatever. Same thing. So yeah, I think that might be a little ambitious, but not going to lie, I'm going to enjoy Miami because I always do.
I was about to say, I don't think there's. This has been a long time since there's been an event in Florida for Call of Duty.
Wasn't Champs there a few years ago or whatever?
Was it? That okay? That's.
I think it was your OpTic one, right? What was that? IW?
I thought that was more west, but okay, it doesn't matter. Either way, once I heard it, I know all the commentators and whatnot, and the analysts, they were excited to go. Just
Well, I mean,
because
they're
it
getting
was
their stuff.
something
They're getting
new.
their stuff paid for. Let's be real
Orlando.
here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Orlando. What I meant was that an event close to like a beach, vacationy, touristy area. Like, obviously you have E3, which is like based in like the LA area, which is expensive. And like you said,
it's just a lot more expensive. I'd say it's
Yeah.
probably even more expensive than Vegas.
wow, yeah.
I mean,
so
I hope people are bringing at least $3,000 each because it's gonna be a great time. But
if anybody's listening and planning on going, there you go. Got time to
this
save
is the
up.
thing too. This is the thing too. Vegas, you can find cheap food options. You can find cheap hotels.
Mm-hmm.
You can stay at Circus on the Strip for $28 a night. Can't do that at the SLS on South Beach. Not happening. That's the other thing too. There aren't really mega hotels. It's all boutique hotels on the beach. I mean, I guess if people want to stay an hour north or something towards Fort Lauderdale, I guess sure they can do that. But it's gonna be really interesting. But where the venue is, that convention center is right on the beach, right by Collins Ave. So that's gonna be a great time.
Yeah,
we're all gonna have fun out there.
Yeah, for the people who are going just to like spectate and hang out or whatever, I'm sure it's gonna be a fun time. The only thing though, is that it's July, I believe, so it's gonna be hot.
It's like a month after Anaheim, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because we have Anaheim, which is traditionally, I don't know how expensive it is, but the European players flying over, they're going to be spending a good amount of cash. California was expensive to begin with. And then 5 weeks later we get Miami.
Yeah.
It's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And another month after that we have Champs. It's kind of like they ran into a time crunch to fit in all these events.
Yeah. When is Champs gonna be announced? I don't know. I haven't heard.
Probably Anaheim.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about where or when it's gonna be. It's usually announced at an event, like Edgar said. Anaheim, latest probably playoffs, but I doubt it. I don't think they're gonna give.
It's gonna be Anaheim.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Anaheim.
There you go. Fair enough. Anaheim. Any predictions on where finals are gonna be? Where champs are gonna be?
I could see them going back to Columbus.
That would be cool.
It really depends how much money they spent on Miami. Because remember, last year playoffs was just in their MLG studio in Columbus.
Yeah. Yep.
So CWL London costs a little bit more than Birmingham, obviously.
Mhm.
And again, they saved money having it in Fort Worth versus Dallas this year.
Yeah.
Vegas was expensive. Let's not lie about that. Vegas was expensive. I really don't know. I'd say the safe money is probably Columbus, but
LA.
it's not, LA. They had Black Ops 3 champs there years ago. New York would be really cool. That means I don't really have to travel.
True.
Really cool.
True.
Yep.
I'm trying to think if there's like any special like arenas that they could use, but the only one that MLG really uses is the one in Ohio. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really don't know where they would go. Now I've talked to some MLG staff. I was like, hey, well, since last year of events, why don't you guys just blow it out? That's what I would have done. So I guess one of them, well, makes sense. They got Miami. Too bad they didn't have Dallas instead of Fort Worth. Dallas is much better party area.
Let's see,
Of course, you
July
have to have
19th to
Anaheim.
the 21st. Is that finals or is that playoffs? I understand
Playoffs,
that.
which
I,
is-
I
see,
understand
that's
that things
playoffs,
aren't
which
like
is- yeah.
I understand that it's Anaheim. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, July was it top 10 teams from the league? They're just gonna have a double
New
elimination
Orleans.
bracket.
Ooh, that would be fun.
That would be pretty fun.
That would be fun.
But,
Might hurt
but I
the
don't know
players
if-
a little bit, but that'd be fun.
The thing is, though, I don't know if MLG would do back-to-back years outside of Anaheim. I don't know. Maybe.
Champs,
wait,
New
so-
Zealand.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be
And what-
interesting.
Well, if you go back to London, that might be pretty fun. I could probably
Everybody
say-
wants more UK events after London, just because the crowd and the atmosphere were so fun. But apparently, the travel was really affecting the players. Some of the teams.
That's also because they, not trying to shit on the players, but a lot of these kids just don't know how to travel. I'm sorry. You don't know how to reset your internal clock.
I
stay up, sleep in your hoodies.
Yeah.
You guys go out and eat chicken fingers or whatever at odd hours. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Or you guys don't eat while you're out there because you don't want the haggis.
There was one player, I don't remember who it was, but they were like, yeah, man, we just landed yesterday and I didn't sleep. And one of the other players was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, nah, I'm serious. I'm dead ass. I'm fine. I'm good to go. I'll just chug a Red Bull.
That's like, bro, just get an Ambien prescription or something. Obviously, go through your doctor to get that. Of course, disclaimer, yeah, we're talking about partying and having a good time in Miami. Only drink if you're 21 and over. Make sure you control your alcohol intake. Take no responsibility for anything that may or may not happen to you there on South Beach. And obviously, if you're underage, do not drink. Obviously, don't drink and drive. But outside of that, make sure you guys have a good time.
Yeah. Yep,
So-
absolutely. You got to be responsible. Honestly, if you're gonna go to a COD event and you're underage, at least it seems like it was that way for Fort Worth. Like anybody who was under 21 really didn't get to do anything. After the event anyway.
Fort Worth sucks.
Yeah, yeah. At least for me anyway. Like I'm old enough to drink or whatever, so that's fine. But yeah. If you're younger, my recommendation: hang out at the event at one of the signings if you want to hang out with your players. That's the best way to do it. Drink some G Fuel. There you go. There you go. Drink responsibly.
Wasn't Mountain Dew Game Fuel or whatever now. I can't say G Fuel anymore.
Yeah.
PepsiCo outbid them for that right there.
Game
Expect more of
Fuel.
that next year. Less endemic. Yeah, less endemic sponsor.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why the industry's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of crazy. You don't really hear about G Fuel too
No.
much anymore.
It's around, but it's definitely not nearly what it was in the Call of Duty scene. It seems like G Fuel's huge thing right now is content creators, which is like great. It works for them. I've
Use code rallied.
Honestly, the one I see everywhere is Mob. Mob is everywhere on my timeline.
I don't even know what that is. As sad as that sounds,
If you're gonna be at
use code rallied.
If you're gonna be at Anaheim, I know Rally's gonna be there. The Mob's gonna be there. It seems like that's the place where all of like Call of Duty competitive and Call of Duty content's gonna be colliding.
it will be a little sad next year too with no like, real events except amateur open events or scouting
Hmm.
combines. But then again, that's not really going to
Yeah,
be
but then like
real
your
competition
yeah,
if you think about
your huge like competitive players or whatever. I don't see them going unless it's gonna be like a promotional thing that they have to do per contract. But
it. I'd have my guys show up, but hey, you're under contract now. It's just like you sign play with the Lakers. You got to show up to the local children's hospitals. You got to do all that sort of stuff.
exactly,
That's what
exactly.
you have
The
to do. It's
promo.
community outreach. That's how it goes. Yep.
Mhm.
That's really how it.
Absolutely.
And then of course, so I guess well, depending on how they decide to form a contenders league or contenders circuit,
Mhm.
assume they probably just copy Overwatch leagues over, have the open bracket or open
Yeah.
division.
Yeah, it seems like what they're doing is they're just doing a not I don't know if it's necessarily going to be excuse me, like extremely open to where anybody can walk up, but I'm sure they're going to have some type of like in-game qualification system, almost like Fortnite
Yeah.
has. And then
Well,
once you get in, you can go to these local LAN events, which I believe per the slide, I think it's gonna be like one a month or one every other month, per each team. Like it's gonna be a thing that's gonna be going out throughout the year. It's gonna be a huge pipeline for these players.
yeah, but then assume it'd be the same as like Overwatch is right now. So you're going to have the in-game rank division, all that sort of crap, right? Well, not crap. Well, whatever. Well, we don't know what they're going to do because I guess traditionally the rank system hasn't been in there since launch, and usually it's
Mhm.
half-assed or something like that. If you look at Overwatch for their open division right now for your online tournaments or whatever, they have battlefy.com or whatever you sign up for all that stuff for.
Yeah.
Then from there you can go to your local events, that sort of stuff, and work your way up through there. Of course, they're going to have amateur events or whatever because, like I said, they
Mhm.
need to build out this player pipeline.
Yeah.
Not franchises die. So that's why I was talking with an AM player the other day, and they're really concerned. Like, well,
Why?
Edgar, well, Edgar, yeah, this sounds great for kids who can grind like 12 hours a day or something, but guys like me, it's not going to happen anymore. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's like you really think that if you are good enough to make it onto a contender roster, eventually make it onto the pro roster, that you wouldn't win the system there simply just to try to save money later.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like if I've got a player at $15,000 a month, or any team has a player at $15,000 a month, I have a guy sitting on my contender roster down there at minimum salary or whatever. Now,
Mhm.
what I don't know, 5,000 a month, whatever it is. But so I guess Overwatch is $50,000 a year.
Yeah,
You
that's
think
the
I wouldn't
minimum. Yep.
promote that player, or
Yeah.
you think like the Lakers would keep a development player on their G League team
Yep.
as opposed to just promote them if they're really that good?
Mhm.
So that's the way I see it. And then, of course, I guess we're going to go away from having to have like your pre-made group of 5 teams and then moving up together through the
Yeah.
ranks. Where you always have to team with these same players. Instead, I guess I can equate it to like basketball tryouts or something at your local high school, right?
Yeah.
So you know how that goes. Everybody
Mhm.
just signs up, they show up, you break off into teams of 5, you scrim against each other, coaches are watching, and then they'll just scramble the teams up or whatever. After a few reps, you know who the better players are
Yeah.
already, just watching them how they play. How's their court vision? How's their boxing out? How's their rebounding? How's their shooting? All that sort of stuff. So then eventually you know who those better players are. So then you start stratifying them. So the weaker players, you let them play amongst each other themselves too. Still have a scout over there because you never know. Somebody could have just had a really bad day,
Mhm.
really bad few series in a row, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe this guy needs a little bit maybe this guy needs a second look. And the players that are standing out, you just move them up, move them up, move them up, and then main scouts are just sitting there at the combine just looking at these players, like the ones that are rising to the top, because cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
If you're a good player, you are going to get noticed. And from there, you might be invited, you might be offered a contract, a 2-way contract or something, or just an outright assignment to the contender league, whatever, and then just work your way up from there. And so we already see this in Overwatch right now too. I guess what was one of these teams? I don't really watch Overwatch.
Mhm.
Hopefully, one of my viewers is in chat and can tell me. I know I have a few Overwatch League fanatics in there. And one team they dropped 3. Well, they demoted 3 of their starters from the actual starters from the pro roster
Mhm.
down to contenders, and they brought up 3 players from contenders to the bench. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna see a lot of that now too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be based on your individual performance and then I guess flexibility. So those real assassins out there, like the guys like Attached, guys like John, guys like Dashy, obviously, guys that can play any role and play it well. I don't think we're going to see too much of this one-dimensional type of player anymore. So we're going to have versatility here. And that's the other thing I was thinking about too. And during the offseason, talking to some of the players as well. Like a guy like John, well, I know he hasn't been playing too well this year. I'm sure he's going to rebound towards champs because that dude's a competitor. John is a great sniper, and he's traditionally a submachine gun player. So it's like if you have one of those on your roster, you can actually swap who snipes because I guess traditionally it's your main AR that's going to snipe, right? See what I mean now? So
Yeah.
you can mix and match some of the roles like that. So versatility is really key. And if you think about it, that isn't any sport out there. You don't really want, well, of course, you're going to want specialists and stuff like that. But if you can get that one superstar player that can play every role, those are the guys that are going to be pulling down bang. And like I said, some of these younger players coming up, like the really disgusting players like Shotzi, guys like Illy, they can already do that sort of stuff. So those guys, once they turn 18 or so, sure they're going to make it to the top at whatever scouting combine they're at, immediately going to be placed on a contender roster. Somebody's going to want to sign them to a contender roster, probably even the straight up pro roster on the bench or something, and work them in.
Yeah, I mean,
really well.
You see it in League of Legends. I don't know if anybody in here pays attention to it, but a lot of times in League of Legends, just like with any other traditional sport, towards the end of the year, or the end of the split, the team will substitute some of the academy players for the pro, and then they'll kind of swap them to allow players on the pro team get a little bit of coaching experience, yada yada. And like with Call of Duty, you can see that happening. If there's a team where they're either so comfortably far ahead that they can sub in a couple players, for say like the last couple games of the split or whatever, like why not? It helps the players out. It helps introduce new personalities. It helps even then allow the younger players to potentially rise above the ones that are getting older. I'm excited to like see some of these younger players and what they can do. For me, I've enjoyed watching Simp this year. The Tiny Terrors have been great to watch.
I'm excited to watch Illy next year. I've watched that kid. I've lurked his stream. That kid. Yeah, and then the thing is, I know it was last year. Dashy was even saying Illy's better than he is. Yeah, Salium's great too, but he doesn't really stream, so it's kind of hard to see what he does outside the league.
Every time he seems to be playing, all the players are just like, yo, this kid, give him a year or two and he is going to be the best. Like, everybody's talking good about Celium. Everybody's talking good, what is it, about Asum as well. The new FaZe guys. There's a lot of new younger players coming up, where everybody seemed to, like, oh, they're just S&D kids, but they're showing their worth now, and these older guys need to be looking out.
Yeah, but again, it also shows what I'm saying for next year too. Scouting combines, contenders league, that sort of stuff. The better players, even if you're young, you're eventually going to get noticed. You just gotta stay out there. You gotta grind at it.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of these players too. I guess they show their worth by grinding out S&D. So people are like, oh, this guy's really good. Okay, let's play some S&D tourneys with him. Yep. Of course, you meet other people, and then your gun skill has to be good if you're going to be one of those top S&D players.
Oh yeah.
I think half these pros start out as S&D guys, didn't they? Like, I know
Yep.
Tommy did, Azuma did, I guess Attached did.
Honestly, back then, like that was one of the only ways to get noticed, because you played the S&D tourneys with a bunch of the pros, and eventually the pros would, be interested in you, and then from there you get invited to either like Pro 10s, or at that time it was Money 8s. Like there was a reason for doing those things back then, and then now obviously that just keeps on going and going. But now there's that level to where you can get signed to an AM team. Then at that point, you're not just grinding S&T and happy to make, a couple $100 a night. You're getting salary at that point. So There's definitely money to be had, but you got to put the work in. And like you said,
Uh,
you brought it up earlier. Part of the reason you don't know a little bit about well, you know a little bit about Celium, but don't know as much is that he doesn't stream. Um, and with next year, with the amateur circuit and whatnot, maybe they won't have to necessarily stream in order to get noticed because these different events are going to be going on. And hopefully, we're going to have some type of production where we can at least keep up with everything.
yeah, definitely. Well, that's the other thing to think about. So, scouting combine, what to send one of your scouts there? Was it gonna be $500 in a ticket,
Hmm.
another $300 a night in a hotel room? So for $1,100, throwing that out there, that might have just one scout there, just looking around for talent, that sort of stuff. That's why
Exactly.
he's gonna be there for the whole week. So it's not like you're gonna be shut out right now. Where if you're not invited into these money tens and stuff or S&D tourneys with top players, you're not out there grinding. But that's or you're not going to get that shot. And that's the
Yeah.
other thing too. Like a lot of people don't know this right now too, but like a lot of these pros that are not currently on a pro league roster, they're playing money eights
Mhm.
continuously. Like if you
Mhm.
flip on any of these streams right now, any of these pro 10 streams, you're gonna see a fellow in there. You're gonna see Chino in there. You're gonna see Assault in there
Oh my
because they
God,
want to make it. Yeah,
Spacely, all of
basically,
them,
yeah.
yeah, all of them are
That's all they
grinding.
do.
And
They are
actually,
grinding their
like,
asses off.
there's been a couple of times I've tuned in to streams to watch like Money Tens and all of that, and some of those players, the ones who are grinding, are getting picked more than the pros, just because, to an extent,
I mean, they're
they're
getting
all
more
teamed
reps and
up.
they're more.
They're teamed up. They
Oh,
got that sync. They got that chemistry. Like, hell yeah.
but yeah, but that's the thing too. But that's kind of a microcosm of what scouting combine would be. But so all these pros playing pro tens or whatever, or even people that aren't really pros in there, they're all seeing each other, all figuring out who's
Mhm.
actually good, and then they're gonna make it back onto a pro league roster, hopefully during the next period or something like that.
Yeah.
Same would be with the amateurs in the contenders division and the scouting combines, or even the open division. So
Yeah.
back to it's like nobody really has anything to worry about. If you are good at the game, like, legitimately good.
Yeah.
When I say this, not trying to dunk on people's dreams here, but if you are 21 years old, you've never even won like a local LAN or one of these online tournaments,
Mhm.
you're probably not going to make it to the pros.
Yeah.
Just saying, like you either have it or you don't, and you can just look at players and know if they are pro quality, contender quality. Just looking at it, it's just like any other sport.
Mhm.
Like this guy can grind it out in your local high school for football or something. Might make it onto a D3 roster or something like that, but he'll never make it to that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that either. But
No.
I don't know. So I think maybe some of the worry and some of the complaining is from people really want to be pro, but it is so difficult to be a professional. Anything out
It
there.
is. It is. The grind now is real. Like you honestly you realistically have to play that one game for 8 to 12 hours a day just to keep up. Not even the fact that you're going to be the best, but just to keep up with the meta. These players, they get on day in and day out. They don't really take a day off. They sacrifice their personal life. Like the money and the fame might sound awesome and cool and all that, but it's a damn grind, and I respect the players
Like
that
if
do it. But yeah, if you're 18 and you
you
think
want
this
it,
is really cool and awesome, you gotta work.
yep, you got to. But that's the cool thing with franchising coming in, that payoff is actually there. So I mean, I wouldn't suggest it right now, but you might see kids dropping out of public school at 13 and just being homeschooled. Kind of how some of those Olympic athletes train or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yep.
They're just in the pool 12 hours a day or whatever in their teenage years. And of course, there's a lot of burnout on that because you hear so many stories where some athletes like, I just had a breakdown, I just had burnout, and then that
Yeah.
was it. I just couldn't do gymnastics anymore or anything like
Mhm.
that. I mean, yeah, we'll probably go and get that, but that's the thing. There is a clear payoff for grinding this now if you are good enough. It's the
Yep.
franchise league coming in, all the cash, all the stability coming in. So
Yeah,
this isn't,
it was
yeah, this isn't
earlier
it.
in the year, but there was one amateur Call of Duty player, and he was like, "Hey, so I convinced my mom to let me, or convinced my parents to let me drop out of school, which is like public school, high school, whatever. And all the pros, you're like, did you hit your head? Are you
Well,
okay?
I saw that
And
tweet
yeah,
chain. I think he was saying he's just gonna drop out and not even finish up through homeschooling or get a GED or something like that. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
not trying to denigrate the kid, but from the
He,
tweet chain under that, so many people are like, we've never even see you play
yeah,
any sort of,
uh huh,
you know what I'm saying. They
uh
don't
huh,
know who he is, but
mhm,
I mean, like a guy like Illy, if he decided to do that, especially with franchise league coming in, I mean, I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, sure, go for it,
yeah,
man.
yeah. If
You're at that
there's,
level. You are
yeah,
at that level. You know it. You know that there's a clear payoff
yeah,
here already.
there's a not even a handful. There's maybe two or three players out there that I would say, okay, maybe, but even then, like, finish high school, get a GED. Like, I'm not saying you
Do
have to
something,
graduate
man.
college, because yeah, that is like money and time and all of that, but God forbid something happens, like you hurt your hand and you can't play ever again. Like, you never know.
Yeah,
That's just how I
exactly.
live anyway. But all right. We just hit the hour mark. So let's move on to the big, actually, I wasn't even going to include this because it wasn't announced. I did not see this coming. I don't think a lot of people saw it coming. Was FaZe grabbing Nickmercs. Today was FaZe Day, which is 9 years of
Oh,
FaZe.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was supposed to be the whole tie-in, is that it's FaZe Day, family, love, loyalty, and here's another member joining our family, which is nice and sweet. Me personally, I think that was a smack at Nade shot for what
Oh,
his comments
I
about the whole situation with Tfue.
I mean, I don't know about that. And you know me, I don't really like commenting on rumors or
Mhm.
anything like that. But I mean, I could see that as being plausible. Definitely could see that as being plausible. But I guess I mean, I'd be willing to talk about like Nickmercs and his situation leaving 100 Thieves and what I think most likely happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, go for
yeah,
it.
but outside of just straight drama, like
Mhm.
is this a shot back at Nade that FaZe is doing or whatever? That I don't want to comment on that sort of stuff. I got too much respect for all these dudes and what they've done. Like in the last podcast, I said
Yeah.
it's kind of it's a little uncouth
Yep.
talk about the sort of stuff. But anyway, so Nickmercs, from business financial perspective, I guess he tweeted out or responded to somebody said that Nate Shot offered him 5% of 100 Thieves.
Mhm.
I remember Nickmercs was there before Dan Gilbert or Usher, not Usher, Drake.
Mhm.
And all of the investment cash came in when 100T was 100 L's. Right. So I guess he offered him 5%. Okay. That's perfectly fine. Okay. And then I guess was there's the Exerto article today or something like that where guess what Nick said that I guess when business guys from 100 Thieves or whatever lawyers came in,
Oh yeah,
they
yeah,
offered him
yeah.
a contract that it was for substantially less than
Yeah,
5%.
it was
Yeah,
Slasher, but
yeah,
so
whoever it was, yeah.
yeah.
Basically, what I think probably happened here is he was offered 5%, but that was undiluted. That was when there was no cash in or whatever.
Mhm.
They would have had 95%, and Nick probably would have had 5%. Then remember, I think it was last time. Yeah, I had the podcast. There was one before that. How I was talking about how your ownership stake gets diluted every single time you take in an investment, either seed round, Series A, Series B, whatever. So okay, so I guess Ludlow Ventures through Blake. They find it that was pretty much the seed round for 100. Right there. Okay, so on the
Mhm.
low end, let's say they gave up. Well, Nate gave up 10% of his company. You're not gonna get cash without giving up equity. That's just simply how it works. So let's say Nate gave out zero equity before that. So let's say after that, Ludlow Ventures wanted 10%.
Yeah.
Nate has 90%.
Mhm.
Ludlow has 10%. Okay. So he lost 10% of his shares. And Series A hops around and then what they need $30 million for LCS and all that other sort of stuff. a scooter came in and that sort of stuff. Something around that size, they're going to at least want 35%, 40%, or maybe even up to 50%. So then what? So then you're giving away 30% more of your equity. Let's say it's on low end, it's 33% that they want. Now Nate doesn't have 90% of that company. Now he only has 60% of that company. Yeah, that works. So the more money you take in the later rounds, everybody gets diluted. Ludlow Ventures, theirs got cut by another 33%. So they're probably at 6.66%. Now, here's what I think happened. I guess it had to have been recently where Nickmercs was approached by a Nade's people or lawyers, whoever, offered his contract that gave him equity, but obviously it wouldn't be for 5% because Nate offered him that 5% initially. And so before all the dilution happened. So I'm willing to bet the contract would have been his diluted amount. So it's probably at 1.8 to 2% equity.
So, wow.
So, yeah, but here's the
way
thing.
how you're so on point with things is impressive because within Nickmercs' the clip, obviously he's like, so theoretically, Nate shot offered be 5%, but within the contract it said something more like 0.2%. So
So okay, so check this out though. So here's the issue, okay? I'm sure this is what happened. So Nick, from everything I've heard from all these players, everybody, and same thing about Nate. Like everybody says they're guys, awesome guys. They'll talk to any fan that's out there. I've even seen Nate at events just talking to any fan. As long as he's not busy with something. He's a very busy guy right now, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
But I'm willing to bet that what happened is Nate was like, well, actually, I can't even bet on it. I don't know specifically what happened, but this is what I believe probably happened. Nate was probably like, well, this is your diluted amount right here. And then Nick probably was like, well, you told me 5%. Then there's that disconnect because Nate didn't give him that 5% initially. Gave him that 5% initially, just gets diluted down to that current amount that's in the contract, right?
Yep.
So Nick is probably sitting there like, well, you offered me 5%, so take it out of your cut right now. So I have 5% total of the company, but 5% at that point in time, say Nate's down to 30%.
I was about to say that might take him out of the majority.
That's, well, most likely he's out of the majority. That's just generally how it works when you raise cash like this. But then again, like I said, I don't know specifically what documents were, but most likely he doesn't have 51%. No slight to Nade or anything like that. Not hating. Don't go on Red and be like, Edgar says this, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just saying how it generally works.
Yeah.
And then it's old. But, okay, so imagine Nade's hypothetically diluted down to 30% ownership, right?
Okay.
Nick is like, hey, give me that 5% you promised me of 100 Thieves. That 5% would come out of Nade's cut right there. So now instead of Nade owning 30% of the company, now owns only 25%.
Yeah.
Right? So that's 16% of Nade's holdings that he'd be given to Nick. So you kind of see where Nade probably should have given him the equity up front because it's just going to get diluted anyway. But that's also why in certain purchases you try to fight for something called an anti-dilution clause. But you're going to pay a huge premium for that. But that's probably what happened, and then I can kind of see why Nick probably got upset about it. But then Nate at the same time too is probably thinking, well, this is what the diluted percent would be here, so I'm not going to give up 5% now because that's different from giving up 5% before. So I think they're probably both in the right there, and I think that's kind of why there's probably some sort of disconnect there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I've never talked to these guys, but that would be my read on that situation there too. And when that news first broke that Nick was upset and that something like I was promised something and I didn't get it, immediately thinking it's because he was offered equity, and I was sitting there thinking 5 to 10%. You know, I was saying that too. And so that's probably what happened right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I'm happy that it seems that Nick found somewhere that he can either have that whole family vibe that he's looking for, whatever. While it seems like Nade shot and Courage and 100 Thieves were going off and being flashy and taking 100 Thieves to new heights, it just doesn't seem like they meshed well together for what different visions that they wanted, which is perfectly fine. It's unfortunate that it fell apart the way that they did. Maybe Nade shouldn't have made that promise. None of us were there. We don't know what happened. But hopefully that drama between those two can be done and over, and yeah.
Well, from what everybody said about those two, those guys are very mature. They're adults about it. I know Nick put out a follow-up video where it's just like, you know what? There's no ill will on the guy or anything like that, but I just don't want to work with him again.
Yep.
That's a very professional response right there. That's a very professional thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in the past, I've said that you don't have to like everybody you work with,
Mhm.
or you don't have to work with everybody you like either.
Yep.
It's one of those things. As long as you can be professional about it, you're not going to be trading blows at events or whatever. I
Mhm.
think it's perfectly fine. And they're both highly successful dudes. So
They are.
I'm sure that I'm sure probably sometime in the future, they're just gonna look back and laugh while they're counting their billions of dollars or something. You know,
For all we know, they're sitting next to each other right now and looking at each other's analytics. Like,
I don't know. I think Nick's got like 30,000 subs. I popped open his stream after I saw it. I was like, oh, you know, he's actually a really positive guy. So every single time I clicked on it,
no, I've
super
watched
positive.
Nick for a long time. When he played Call of Duty and whatnot, and he's always been an extremely like positive, motivating, uplifting dude. Like, you can go into his stream and just like sub and just be like, "Hey, I had a bad day, but like I just wanted to like sub and like support you." You'd be like, "So what
Yeah,
happened? Tell me about like." He's a nice dude. It's very rare
yeah.
that you
Well,
see somebody
yeah.
like that, and
I
it
think
shows.
yeah, definitely. I think him rallying to Nate actually they're all kind of the same in that respect too. They appreciate their viewers, all
Yeah.
successful dudes. You know, they care about talking to them and listening. Obviously, Nate's a little bit busier now, so he can't stream as much. But and every single time I've been in Nate's stream, somebody donates or something like that. He reads the message out there, tries to answer it truthfully.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's trying to. So I see them all as good guys here, but they're all super successful guys. So
They are. They are. Yeah. Like even Matt said he's like, look, this is like all public and whatnot. I'm not gonna say anything, but Nick's going to be fine. and like
yeah.
even if he didn't go to FaZe or whatever, he was gonna be fine because he has a very tight knit, strong core community behind him in the M fam, and they're very supportive of what he does.
You know why he's always going to be successful anyway? Because he grinds. Grinds
Yeah,
it out.
he
Dude
sure
works hard.
does.
Dude is driven, motivated.
He
So
sure
he's
does.
always going to be successful.
Yeah.
People like that will always be successful.
People who
Had
can
nothing.
grind and in it for the long haul. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So with along with like all the, weird contract stuff that's been going around, whatever.
Oh yeah, that also goes back to my point I've made in the past few podcasts. Get somebody to read your contract. That's it. 100% right there.
That's been
Get somebody to read your contract.
that's been the story of like the past 2 weeks of starting from the top like people from Tfue all the way down to the players at
You
Denial.
can even say, yeah, exactly right.
Read your contracts.
Read your contracts. Get somebody to explain it to you. If you don't like something that's in that contract, say why you want it removed. And try to get them to remove it. That's part of negotiation there.
Yeah, I
Any
think
deal,
it was
and,
Nickmercs who was
yeah,
talking about it. He was like, for those of you who are out there, looking to get signed by orgs or whatever, when you're reading over your contract, you see something you don't like, please don't be afraid to say something because this is a contract you're signing as well. And they're
exactly.
not
It's
just
like
going to look at you and go, oh, you want 2% more? Oh, screw you. We're going to walk away. That's not how that works.
well, I mean, they can if they
They
hold all the
can,
cards, but
they can,
yeah,
but most of
yeah,
the time,
yeah,
they're down. They're
that,
down to negotiate, and
that's the
even
thing with
then,
contracts,
that's what you get
though.
a lawyer
And
for.
contracts and agreements, you know, it's a good deal if both sides can walk away from it thinking that they won.
Yep.
Okay, because in that situation, let's say the guy's asking for 2% extra, the org isn't or team isn't going to sign that if they know they get the same production for 2% less. But
Yep.
if they would sign that, like, oh well, not happy with this contract. There you go. It's all about leverage and understanding the situation too. But obviously, get somebody to read your contracts. I've tweeted this out multiple times. Any pros, whatever, you want somebody to just read over your contract, or you don't understand a certain clause in your contract, or certain situation or want me to come up with hypotheticals on what a specific clause enables a team or organization to do, just DM it to me or tweet at me or something.
There
I'm
you
all for
go.
that.
There you
There you
go.
go. I know
His
there you go. There you go.
his at's there, and your DMs are open. So that if anybody
There you
has any
go.
questions, honestly, if there's somebody to ask, it's Edgar.
Probably me.
Yeah, and even
I
then,
don't
if
even ask
there's
you guys for any money or
no,
anything.
and if there's something that needs to be done forward from that, I'm sure he'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Exactly. There you go. It's like I'm not gonna represent you in court or anything, but
Yeah,
just
yeah,
for initial things like, hey man, what do you think of this contract here? What would you ask to be changed on this or something like this? And I'm gonna be blunt. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Yes, I have had players in the past have me read over their documents,
mhm.
come up with hypotheticals for certain things there. That's really what you need to. So you always need somebody in your corner. You need somebody that's your guy.
There you go.
Look out for you.
There you go. And that's even what Nick said. He was like, I was just at the big tables and I had nobody looking out for me. So, we'll see.
There you go. Yep, yep. Yes. Covers Nick because I mean we don't really have anything else public on that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
someone else comes out, but I mean,
Yeah.
but there you go. That's my
Yeah.
analysis on the situation based on what I believe happened. If it's wrong, no offense to any of the involved parties. That's just how I can see something like that going down because I've seen it in other industries before.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. All right. The big one. So before we went live, I asked you if it would be okay to ask you about the OpTic gaming situation that happened last year, where it was talked about in Eavesdrop, where the OpTic guys were reportedly going to sign with another team. That team.
Yeah. That was I saw a clip of that somewhere, right? Where Hitch was saying something about
the Eavesdrop.
last
I'll
year or
find
whatever.
it. I'll find
Yeah,
it.
I know it's like a 3-hour podcast or something. I'm sure it's really interesting.
I
gotta find 3-hour time to actually sit down there and not read it, listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that like trending or something too on Twitter? Something like that.
Some people.
Let's see. Yeah. It was right now it's at 286,000 views and it was 2 hours and 13 minutes. While Eavesdrop is usually like an hour.
And a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of content right there. But yeah, Hector's got a great podcast. That's really awesome. Like great production qualities, interesting guests and stuff. Great conversation. I guess it's got like 40 episodes now. But I guess to answer your questions, like last year, I guess who wouldn't want that roster? Who wouldn't want all those guys? But then it goes back. I guess it kind of ties into all of the speculation that if we have a draft next year or there's no OpTic next year, these players are just going to flat out retire because they won't play for anyone except OpTic. And then it's like, that's why Hector was like, oh, they're ready to sign other contracts. Off season, said he actually felt like he had to fight to keep Damon. It's like these guys are all professionals. Prim is a competitor at heart. You think he's going to stop his goal of the pursuit or whatever him and Taylor are calling it?
Yeah.
Great series though. But do you really think he's going to stop and not want to reach that goal of having the most major wins out there simply because OpTic's not around? I don't think so. Prim is the kind of guy that just wants to win. He doesn't care what color jersey he's wearing. Guy like Seth. People think, oh, he's a little bit of a goofball. But that dude is so motivated as well, too.
Yeah, even Krim tweeted out, well, you know, with everything going on or whatever, that he can't think about things that he can't control, and the only thing he can worry about is the next map. Or the map that he's currently playing. And that honestly is the way that you have to approach, honestly, not even just video games or esports, whatever, but life. Like,
that's the way the industry's moving too. I mean, these NBA players, think about one day they wake up and they're traded. It's gone. They're on a different team. They can't control that. They still have their salary. They still have their contract. They already have their housing, healthcare, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And that's what it is. You want to be a professional at this level. This is what you're signing up for. Like we've said, Krim is a consummate professional in Call of Duty right now with 33 major wins,
He's he's
two
going to be
championship
the
rings.
winningest console esports player of all time.
Yeah, he's not going. He is not going to stop until he gets there.
No, no,
That's why
he is known as Crimbot for a reason. He is a machine, and like honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he keeps on playing until like his body actually breaks down. I
no,
can't I
guys
can't
like
imagine him
play. They're
doing
going to keep
anything
playing.
else except competition.
Here's something a lot of people don't. Well, they probably can tell this about Krim, but my interactions with him in person, when they lose, he does not want to go out.
Yeah.
Let's say for example, okay, so this year, well, actually last year and before, it was always a given that OpTic would make it to Sunday, right? And that's also because of how it was structured, because we had the open bracket teams getting into the pro bracket, losers round 6, 5, all that sort of stuff. That's a little bit condensed, but this year, so not making it to Sunday isn't this rare occurrence anymore. A lot of teams. But before, they got eliminated in a bad fashion because he feels like he didn't play up to his standards or something like that, or they had stupid mistakes. They get dominated or whatever. That guy will not go out. He'll just stay in the hotel room. Even if you're like, hey man, let's go get dinner, let's get a drink or something like that. He will tell you, no, I don't deserve it. I didn't play well. I'm staying here.
Oh.
That's how much of a competitor this guy is.
Yeah, but I mean,
he doesn't want to feel bad for him. He's not like he's being sappy or crying at all. He's angry about it.
Yeah, that's no wonder where he is right now. Then at that point, because damn, like it shows. I mean, especially how they were last year. All of 2018 for OpTic was not good. And then they came out swinging at Fort Worth, and they were like, "Nah, we're not taking anything except first." And they did it.
He is one of those guys. Like, I guess towards the end of Kobe's career, he was missing a lot of jump shots towards the end of the game, and they had won. They could have won. So what did he do after that? He shot the ball around for 2 to 3 hours after the game was over. That's the sort of stuff that Ian will do. So this guy, he'll grind the game out. He wants to win. So I don't see this guy retiring until at least he sets the record for major tournament wins. And also with these other guys too, well, Damon's got a family now too. I don't know why he would retire when there's so much on the table now.
I was about to say, and not even that. It's not even like he's necessarily like declining or anything like that. Like he still has a very high stock.
No, the guy is amazing at the game. So.
And especially Damon, he's one of those. He can pick up any game and be amazing at it.
Doesn't matter what platform it's on. And a guy like Seth, people think Seth. Well, Seth has a lot of cash too, and money doesn't really drive him.
Yeah, but he doesn't really spend.
From what I'm not. Yeah, he doesn't really spend money either. He really doesn't spend much money either. But the thing is, towards the end of last season, there was this GIF. I can't find it anymore, but it's pretty much those animations that people have where they put people's faces on them, whatever, some random video. There was one where he's getting beat up by all the other players in the league, like a gang initiation. Like, I know where the original video is, but not the GIF with his face on it or whatever. No, so that's the thing. Like, he laughed at that, but guys like Seth, that stuff actually pisses him off because everybody was just considering him a joke last year too.
Oh,
so that guy wants to win as well too. That's why that guy came out swinging this year.
Yeah,
that's what people don't.
Yeah. He was like, I think I'm just gonna fuck around and show everybody that I'm amazing again, or something like that. He said last year did something to him. He was like that for Seth.
And anybody who talked to him knew that. Yeah, it's messing with his head a little, and then like that's the other thing too that the players are gonna have a lot of help with next year too. Like you're gonna have a lot of mental health professionals checking up on them too. Because a lot of stress involved with a public job like this too.
Yeah.
What was it? I guess Christine was tweeting a few months ago about just getting all this hate or whatever. I know Damon was last year too. All this hate, and like professional athletes in traditional sports, they have a whole support system right there. They have a team psychologist, trainers, doctors all around. all these players, obviously in esports right now, don't
Mm-hmm.
have that, and that's
Yeah.
something that they're going to get next year because that's what Overwatch players have.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be able to hopefully cope with that a little bit better, handle situations a little bit better.
Yeah, I
That's the thing.
was.
All of it affects Seth. Even look at what a few months ago when he was in that that ESPN bracket thing and
Oh
simple,
yeah,
and then people
yeah.
were just tweeting him awful things
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember that. He was like,
simply
I
because he
don't
plays Call of Duty.
understand
Whatever.
how people can be yelling at me for playing a
It's
game
like
on
they
a
are mad.
console. Like
Yeah,
it was just mad because he played on console, or you can even
exactly.
take it to
People
the
tweeting
effect
him
that just like
vile things.
it was just that he didn't play CS:GO. But regardless of it, that yeah, he even said he's like I couldn't look at my Twitter for a little bit.
I know it's terrible.
And his
I
following
DM'd
is
him. I was like, hey man,
huge.
yeah. I DM'd him. I was like, hey man, don't listen to this shit. But
Yeah,
no, it's like
2.1
it
million
affects everybody.
followers. Imagine
It
just having
happens.
like hundreds of thousands of people just shitting on you, but you're actually one of the best. That's
No.
wow.
Yeah, so that's something like players are going to have a lot of help with next year. Happy about that for a lot of these guys because a lot of these dudes too right now, especially because not really guaranteed contracts or anything like that. There's no job security. They're worried about it. Like imagine Zinni when they didn't qualify under G2. He was sitting there, it's like, well, unemployed right now. That's why it's like, why wouldn't I take this offer from the UYU to go on the roster?
Mhm.
Why wouldn't I? I'm unemployed. But you
Yeah.
want me to say no, sit at home, make no money?
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah,
for
it's
the
like
people who are like Spacely, what are you doing just sitting on the bench? You can get on a team. He's getting 10 grand a month or whatever it is that
whatever
he's
his
getting.
contract. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know about you, but like, there's a life around all of us that goes on that requires bills to be paid and mouths to be fed, and like, I don't blame him one bit. It's bringing his stock down. I'm sure, but like we talked about earlier, it's not like he's sitting there literally on his ass, not like just collecting the check. He's
No, he's not. He's
grinding.
grinding.
He's
That dude's grinding. That
streaming.
dude's
I'm pretty sure he. I saw a tweet yesterday from a fan who bought some of his merch. His merch actually looks really nice. Got a whole new logo and everything. So he's grinding as much as he can.
I'm definitely. Oh,
So yeah,
good
yeah,
here. But yeah, so back to OpTic stuff.
yep,
I guess that situation uh that's terrible. It's going down because Hector, you could say he's probably one of the founders of esports in general.
yeah,
Think about it.
yeah.
So
It's we were me and a couple um of my like in real life friends that I game with or whatever. They don't really keep up with esports or anything like that, but OpTic is so big that it them and like a couple other teams like TSM, Cloud9 and whatnot, like they're known for the things that they have done in not only esports but like content creation and streaming and creating online personalities. Like it was OpTic who did that for video games. Like somebody in chat, please correct me if I'm wrong, but OpTic was the first one to go, yo, let's throw all these people in a house and make content. And it worked. And everybody fell in love with these players, and then from there they went on to place like within like top 3, top 5, whatever. Then walk away from COD XP, which is this huge like marketing presentation thing for Modern Warfare 3. OpTic wins that. Blast nade shot into like superstardom. Like OpTic has done so much for gaming, and it's like it's a shame. It's really sad. Um,
but
and like
I mean,
it's
yeah,
everybody
that's
on
what
the
we're saying.
internet
Well,
is
yeah,
like I'm sure you have seen it. Everybody and their mother has
no,
seen it. Like
yeah.
the fuck J, OpTic Judas and stuff like that.
Uh,
And
uh,
I'm interested to hear your opinions on that because obviously fans are looking for somebody to blame. They're looking for somebody to throw all of this hate on, and everybody's blaming Jay, especially since the eavesdrop episode where Hector stated that he doesn't even talk to Jay anymore. So,
well,
I'd like to
I
hear
mean,
your side opinion.
that's the thing too. I've never met Jay, never spoken Tfue, never met Hector, never bumped into Hector once. But yeah, kind of difficult to comment on that though without getting into like a rumor mill or something though. We don't have Jay's side of the story, we don't have Infinite side of the story.
Mm.
We have one side of the story right there, and I guess listening to the bits and pieces from the podcast, it seems like there's this disconnect between what they thought they were going to get and what they actually did get.
Mm.
Now, whether that's because it was unrealistic expectations, we don't know. Nobody's seen the books really. We don't know what their sponsorship deals were, but I think it's interesting though that there's this one part where Hitch said that they were using the money from content team, all their YouTube and that sort of stuff, all brand deals, whatever, that get paid into OpTic to pay for their esports operations. That's fine too if you want to have some conglomerate like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what you had to do though at the time, because we've been through this before. Call of Duty is not profitable at all as far as just purely league operations go.
Yeah.
Right? So you gotta have the money from somewhere. And I mean, it's sad if there's no OpTic around anymore, or the brand's gone, or something like that. But what we said before, OpTic will always just live forever, though.
It
Like,
really
all your OpTic
will.
T-shirts, yeah, that's awesome. Like, keep your
Yeah.
OpTic T-shirts, wear them out to the events, wear them all around the street, whatever you want to do. Wear those OpTic camos on your guns, whatever you want to do. I actually saw this. Somebody bought up all of the OpTic stickers
Yes.
on Steam.
My friend sent me that.
Value.
My friend Viv sent me
hilarious.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. It's collector retro items, throwback items. Now that's fine, but these guys will still be around. Like Hector's going to keep making content, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
YouTube's going to keep making content. Seth is still probably going to keep streaming no matter what. Just I don't know. It's difficult though from a financial perspective, thinking and talking about OpTic though, because it's kind of what I said. It's like I don't want to hypothesize about somebody's situation if there's no public info out there or they haven't really commented on it, because it'd be the equivalent of me like talking about if somebody's cheating on somebody else. Whatever,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's fair.
based on this, I guess based on their comments though, I guess like Hector's tweets, like he's still trying, that sort of stuff. I don't know. It's a tough situation, but I guess it means that Infinite doesn't want a Call of Duty franchise league spot, or they don't have the cash for it though.
Yeah.
If they're trying to spin off all these assets right now or sell the company, right? I take on that much larger debt load right there.
Yeah.
And
Well.
then, even at 25 million, let's say they got Houston at 25 million, right?
Yeah.
Remember what I said though, operations isn't going to be profitable until about year 7 or break even. First few years, you're losing 8 figures easy every year just on operations alone, not including the franchise fee. Imagine what that really does for valuation on a company like that. Now, Immortals has enough cash there, but here's the thing though. So what they raised, 20 million, 30 million, something like that?
It was 30 million.
Okay, it's 30 million, but in that article they also said that part of that's going to be used to pay off their Overwatch spot.
Yep.
So where are they? LA. So let's say they got for 30 million. Okay, how long has Overwatch been around? 2 years. We're entering what, year 3? So let's say Activision cut them a deal and was like, okay, 6 million a year. It means they still have 18 million left on that, so that leaves you 12 million. And then from there, well, actually, I'm sure they still have some other cash in the bank though. It's not like you just go for.
Yeah, it wasn't like they
when
were
you have
at
nothing
0
there,
and then
you
they
know
were
what
like,
I'm
here's
saying.
30 mil. Yeah.
Exactly. That's yeah. So let's say they probably had another 10 mil cash on. Then from there they brand into what, Immortals Gaming Club, and then and now Ops is probably another 3 million or so. But then most of their fan base really was LCS.
Yep.
When they get that spot, they're like, damn. So that's why they're hoping to get an LCS spot, come back into the league, get all their fans back. So it makes sense.
That's what I'm thinking. It does make sense, but for Immortals to go the route that they're going to essentially buy out, I believe it's the majority portion of Infinite Esports, just to get that LCS spot seems like a lot.
Well, I mean, I assume they're also getting the OpTic brand or something too, right?
Yeah.
Or the Call of Duty roster or whatever else they have. The Overwatch spot, I guess, Well, okay, so a lot of people, I guess, are like, oh no, they would just put the Overwatch spot in a holding company, and then they get around Blizzard's rules that way until they can sell it. No, that's not going to happen
Mm,
unless like they put me or something. They're like, okay, well, this random Edgar dude on the internet, actually the chairman and sole shareholder of this holding company for the Houston Overwatch spot, where I don't even have to give it back to them at all or
mm,
anything like that. That's not going to happen. So they would never purchase that spot. It
mm,
just straight up wouldn't happen, and Activision wouldn't allow that sale to be done. Activision's not dumb on this. They probably have some rules where Activision has to approve the sale of any
mm.
franchise and for whatever amounts. It's not like you could sell it to your 18-year-old brother for $1.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So yeah, so I assume Infinite would hold the Overwatch spot still because that they're not going to buy them. They're not going. I don't think Immortals would buy the controlling stake of Infinite. That really doesn't make sense because that means that they have control of the Overwatch spot. Then, so most likely, in my opinion, it's probably them purchasing the LCS spot. That's what the chatter would be because they can't even own 1% of that Overwatch spot.
Mhm.
Doesn't yeah, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
But that's why. Well, I don't want to dunk on journalists or anything, but it's like a lot of this doesn't make sense from what they're saying, or any of these articles out there, or all these takes out there. I don't know. It's one of those complicated topics to really think about. I'm sure you can tell that. I haven't really thought about it in depth.
Yeah, there's
I don't know. There's a lot to think about, and of course, yeah, I have thoughts on it that
yeah,
I would.
there's a lot going around. I mean, I put out my article about the $20 million note, which it got attention. But damn near everybody and their mother was like, "That's not true. That's not true." While of course my source says differently, and I honestly want to hear your opinion on the note, because
Um,
with your like, so for
well,
a
like what you would use
company,
one of them for
yeah,
in the
so
general
yeah,
financial world.
yeah,
Okay,
like, yeah, just like
okay, I can do that.
explain your understanding of what a banknote is, and maybe that can help people understand it a little bit more,
All
because the
right.
way how I put it, I sent you part of it, is that obviously it's very brief. I only touched on it for like 3 sentences.
Like this, yeah, it's pretty much like CDO or anything like
Yep,
that.
pretty much.
Okay, so basic. Okay, so basically, banknote or promissory note or anything like that, or CDO, which is CDO stands for collateralized debt obligation. Pretty much, a lot of people have a misconception about billionaires or giant companies that they just have vaults of literal cash sitting there. That's not what
Mhm.
happens. For a guy like Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, they have literally $50 billion in their bank account. Their net worth is based on the amount of shares they own multiplied by whatever the current share price is. And then, of course, you can borrow against those shares. You could just get cash for it and then not even pay the bank back, and the bank will just take your shares. They don't even care at that point in time because they see it as a swap right there. So another thing is like the ultra wealthy, ultra high net worth individuals. Let's say they have a Van Gogh painting.
Mhm.
They want to borrow money. They're not going to hit up a bank and get something at 12% or something. They're not going through the standard retail channels, so like your regular Chase Bank or whatever. They're actually at a higher level. They're at JP Morgan,
Mhm.
like the top level right there that deals with
Yeah.
guys with at least 20 million assets under management with them. So what they'll do is they'll be like, okay, well, I have this Van Gogh painting and I want to get a loan for some so I can just buy this house real quick or build this boat or whatever. Pay you back in like 2 months. So the bank's gonna be like, okay, well, what you got? And the bank will do this because it's something called asset-based lending,
Mhm.
where they're going to look at what possessions do you have, what can we put down as collateral, and if you don't pay us back, we'll be happy to take that for you. And then, of course, generally you're going to put up something that is really valuable.
Mhm.
So, like I said, Van Gogh painting might be worth $50 million right there, and you're only getting like a $30 million loan or something, right? Because so the bank's like, okay, well, if you default, guess what? We profit $20 million immediately on this. And that's the thing too. Guys with Van Gogh paintings aren't really going to go bankrupt,
Mhm.
and it's really just a tool there to collateralize your loan right there, so you can get something at 1% or 2% loan, which is absolutely unheard of. Think about it. Where are you going to get a loan at 1% or 2% interest?
Mhm.
You don't get that unless you have collateral involved. Now that's the other thing too. So with an Overwatch spot or okay, Yeah, so with that promissory note right there, they probably put up some sort of asset right there. So probably the LCS spot or the Overwatch spot for $20 million, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so let's say it's the Overwatch spot because let's say the buy-in was $30 million for Houston or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They only got a loan for $20 million. The bank's like, okay, we're gonna get our $20 million back plus 1 or 2% interest. If not, we get this Overwatch spot, and Infinite's thinking, okay, whatever, we're gonna pay this back, whatever, business as usual. Like this sort of stuff happens all the time. That's why I think it was a little weird that people are freaking out. They're like, well, there'd be no way that they would put up pretty much warrants on an LCS spot or an Overwatch spot. It doesn't make sense. But then
There.
if you think about it,
Yeah.
this happens all the time. This happens all the time too. Let's look at the bail bond industry, right? Yeah. And I'm sure sometimes you guys have heard of people having $250,000 bail, right?
Mhm.
But what happens generally?
They usually gotta
Your
put
family,
something up
no,
for collateral, don't
you
they?
put your house up with as collateral with the bail bond company,
Mhm.
which is pretty much saying you will show up to every single court hearing you're supposed to show up to, or else we take your house.
Yep.
So that's a bigger trade-off or bigger risk than what I believe maybe they did with the Overwatch spot or something like that. So
Yeah.
people are just freaking out about this. I don't really see this as a big deal because Infinite's probably thinking we'll just pay it back or whatever. Do I think they're actually in the red? Probably not, but maybe they're sitting there, or Liebman sitting there, Deep Space Ventures as well are sitting there. Now the shareholders in Texas Esports, which owns Infinite Esports,
Yep.
sitting there thinking, well, you just don't want to spend any more money on this right now. That's why I'm trying to sell for 150 million since what, last year or whatever.
Mhm.
Nobody's buying at that level, so now they're just probably trying to spin off assets. I don't really see that as a big deal, especially because I guess in that podcast with Hector, they were talking about how it just didn't have cash for certain things, so they fired some content creators or whatever.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that goes into another topic.
Hitch was
It,
supposed to get a whole like content team behind him of 4 different content creators, obviously with him running it, and I believe Aaron Create was supposed to help him, and then like 3 days later, they came in and or they texted Hitch and they were like, hey, so that's not gonna happen anymore. And of course, those 4 content creators were just like excited to join OpTic, and then they were just like, nope, sorry, we got to use the money elsewhere. I mean, you could kind of see it in the beginning too. I mean, the content
well,
creators, they were promised.
yeah. Well, that's the thing too. You don't want to always run your business at a loss, even if you have a lot of cash to just swallow that loss or whatever. It's kind of why Activision wants like the Comcast is involved in franchising, that sort of shit, right? But at a certain point, you're gonna be like, we're losing so much cash here. This doesn't make sense. We got to start cutting down on extraneous expenses here. Like, do we really need this person here in that job or that job? Is this superfluous? Are these doubling up on duties? Why do we need this guy here? What is the incremental value he's providing to the company, even worth his salary? And if the answer is no, or there's no sort of intrinsic value in keeping him around for like name recognition or whatever, why are they there? So I can see it from that point of view as well too. Then the problem is like OpTic and FaZe are all like family oriented and stuff like that, where once you're in, I guess you're in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like nobody wants to see anybody kicked out of their family, right? But I think it might have been a clashing of heads though. I think that's what Hector might have been hinting at with Jay, the Jay involvement or whatever.
Yeah.
I haven't even watched the whole podcast. I think I watched maybe 40 minutes of it, just bits and pieces.
It's beefy. It's long. I mean, yeah. Usually when people sit down to do podcasts, it's if you're doing anything longer than like an hour, 15, hour, 20, it's gonna be hard to get people to like stick around. But the majority of it seems like was that obviously we had everything going on with Infinite, with them trying to expand to different areas like OpTic Mexico, OpTic Brazil, the different things like that. And then Chris Cheney was fired or let go, whatever. And then obviously Jay was promoted to president. And this is my belief. Obviously, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Edgar doesn't know what's going on behind closed doors. I think
nobody does.
that
Honestly.
yeah. Even fucking the players and staff members don't even know. Jay and Hector have been in OpTic since the early ass days to the point where they're very close friends. Like they went to Ryan's wedding, Fwiz. Um, like they were close in real life friends, and it wasn't just business. And it feels like at some point, either Jay chose that business over friendship, or Jay is being scapegoated and people are putting everything on him just because he had the president title. And
I don't know. I don't know, and
yeah,
that's the thing.
I don't,
Until we
and that's the
had
thing.
have a story coming out,
Yeah,
nobody.
I honestly don't think Jay's gonna say anything. He doesn't seem like the type of dude to come out and say anything. Um, Honestly, last time we really truly heard from him was when people on the Reddit were like slamming him and calling him a snake, and then he came back and was like, "I'm not even on the board. I don't even have a say in these decisions."
Well,
Um,
that's the other thing too. It's like I
yeah.
guess the general mood was that people were happy that Cheney got dismissed and Jay was
Mhm.
put in his place.
Yeah,
So
everybody was like, "Yeah, we're Jay, somebody who was like who has been in OpTic." Like he's the only member in OpTic as of right now who doesn't have a space in his name. Like different things like that that mean something to the Green Wall. And I think they expected Jay to be the knight in green armor that they all wanted, but he might have not been able to save a sinking ship at that point.
oh,
And I
I
don't
don't know,
know. I
but
don't know if it's fair
mm,
to blame all of it on Jay. I don't necessarily even think it's fair to blame it all on Hector. I don't
I
even
wouldn't
think
blame
it's
it.
fair.
I wouldn't blame it on anybody.
Yeah,
Honestly, it
it's
could just
not
be a
fair to
market
blame
correction, right?
one person and like unfortunately, like you said, I mean, I think you talked about a couple podcasts ago that y- you've been expecting a market correction for a while, but I don't think anybody expected the market correction to include OpTic possibly going away and being absorbed.
Yeah, I don't think
That's a big
anybody
one.
expected
That's
that.
a big one
But yeah, but
because
on
Jay
the
blamed
other point
everything
is,
on
yeah,
Cheney. So at
I don't
this,
know.
okay, so then at that point, like I understand everybody's upset. I understand everybody's scared and honestly like a little bit anxious too. But to like put blame on one person for Hector to go, "Oh, I'm not talking to Jay for this long," and then for Jay to say, "Well, you know, all this shit happened because of Cheney," and then Cheney's gonna go, "Well, all this shit really happened because of Hector or whatever." Like, stop blaming people and figure out what went wrong if you can. That's how I feel about it. Like at this point, nobody knows what's going on, and to speculate, um, we can't. We don't nearly have enough of the details.
We're probably never going to find out either.
Nope, probably not. Hector
And
always
so
talks
much,
about the X Files or
yeah,
whatever.
no,
Maybe we'll see
so much
it.
happens behind the scenes on all of this sort of stuff. It's like any industry out there
Mhm.
that we're never gonna find out. Like, even people who are in the know, they're not even gonna find out more than half of it.
Yeah,
So that's interesting, though. But
it
man,
is.
yeah,
Um. Yeah. All
but yeah,
right.
I don't think. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think things like CS:GO India or Brazil, whatever, that cost them a lot of cash. Unless did they have a team house for them? I don't know.
No.
Like,
From what I know specifically about the India situation is that they sent one person, like one representative, down to India to set it all up, and then from there it was like him and one other person who he was working with, like through the phone. So, um,
it was more of a name only, and they weren't
yeah.
even
At
hands
that,
on at all. They're just like, okay, we just have her name. You can have her
yeah.
name. But
Honestly, the India situation was very poorly handled. And I think everybody knows that. Optic Brazil wasn't necessarily a bad idea just because Brazil is actually a very huge market for CS:GO. But Optic didn't really have a huge stake in CS:GO at that time either. Like we can go and pick at different situations and decisions that were made forever. The Optic Reddit has already done it. Um, I for me, I just hope the players land somewhere where they can succeed and truly do what they want to do. Um, you can tell that everything that's going on behind the scenes is weighing on the OpTic players, even though, um, they're trying to stay as professional as they can. But even something was tweeted out a couple minutes ago by the Intel Twitter of Krim getting asked questions about the players being sold off one by one. These players are getting hounded. People asking questions
Yeah.
about what's going on and yada
Oh
yada
yeah, I'd
yada.
hate, I'd hate, I'd hate to see their mentions or whatever.
Oh my
I'm sure
god,
they're sick of it.
yeah. I even just that one day where I posted everything, like I had people like tagging Elon Musk and asking him to like save the best brand in esports. Like for anything, OpTic's fan base is dedicated and creative. I'll give them that.
Definitely
Um,
are.
nah,
I
definitely.
don't even know if OpTic needs saving though. Like, do people think like all these people are just going to disappear?
Yeah, so what I think is that if the name gets, obviously goes away, Infinite gets absorbed, the OpTic brand name goes away, Green Wall, yada yada yada. I think they expect all of these players to go on to different teams. Just say like
Oh,
so
why wouldn't
Hitch
they?
Hitch
Why
is
wouldn't
gonna
they mix
go
around
to
anyway?
100 Thieves, and then Crim Six is gonna go to LG, and then Karma's gonna go here, and that like that. But I don't think
Oh,
people
if you're
realize that like the Green Wall is more than just like a brand, a name. To me, it's a community.
yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that, but it's like these guys. If you're fans of their content, just watch their content still.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if Hitch is Optic Hitch or Team Summertime Hitch, does it? Doesn't matter. No, if you like his stuff, entertaining streamer, entertaining videos he puts out, watch his stuff. By
And
all means, it's just
yeah,
like if you were a fan of Courage before, he's on 100 Thieves, does that mean you're not going to watch his stuff? That doesn't really make sense to me, though.
yeah. Fans just don't want to see the players be spread out. I can understand
Well,
that, but like
uh,
unfortunately right
that's
now,
that's how that's just how things go. I mean,
yeah,
people didn't want to see the Dynasty roster break up. It happened.
yeah.
Then oh, and then Hector, I guess, in that podcast, yeah, said that he thought he was really losing Damon. It happens. And you gotta understand these players are also going to look out for their own best personal situation as well too. If somebody comes and offers Ian $100,000 a month, you think he's not going to take that?
Even Hex said that in the podcast. He was like, "Dude, what am I supposed to
Yeah,
do? Tell him to say no?" Like you can't,
exactly.
you can't.
I think there was a clip of Formal out a few years ago or something where somebody asked him, "Yo, if somebody comes in and offers you like $20,000 a month, are you going to leave?" It's like, hell yeah, I would. That's the thing. It's like any traditional sport or anything out there like that, where you think there's going to be just unlimited loyalty to a brand or something, or players aren't allowed to leave
Mhm.
because fans want them to stay or whatever, and that's just simply not how the world works. I know it sucks that people don't want to see the players spread out, but if the players want to spread out, they're going to spread out no matter what.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
there
then if
was
the
there
players
was
retire
one yeah,
or
there
they
was
drop
one
players,
yeah,
oh,
there was a rumor going around that like if this whole acquisition thing goes through or whatever, which so far it seems like the rumor is that it will be done before Anaheim. Um, is that the players might be able to possibly play under like the Infinite banner for like the time being until everything's sorted out, or something just to make sure that the roster doesn't split up. But me personally,
well, for Anaheim, they have to play together. There's roster lock.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
roster lock. They can't do anything until after Anaheim
yeah,
anyway.
and
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's what people
they're
are.
going to be
Yeah,
playing as something together under
yeah.
most
If
likely off.
yeah, if it's gonna be
Honestly.
OpTic or Infinite or I heard there's been so many interesting names being thrown around. Hector's Wall, Hector's Green Wall, uh, just like Infinite's Wall. Like, I don't know. There's been weird names around there, but I just hope that the players can be in a spot where they can focus on their game, because as much as this is weighing on them right now, like, there is a lot to be looking forward to next year, and I hope nobody's getting dissuaded because of what's going on. Like you said, like, it just seems like it's a market correction right now, and it was talked about on the Eavesdrop podcast, to where the dudes walked in, I believe it was Hector and Hitch, and they looked around and they went, "Holy shit, there's 70 people here."
Yeah, that's
um,
pretty crazy. All these franchises next year are probably going to hire 50 people each. So a
yeah,
lot of staff being hired.
yeah,
So, I mean, I
yeah.
don't see that.
I'm honestly just it's something Call of Duty I don't know if they're ready for. There's going to be so many different changes, and I think we've already seen it already this year, that if there is a change going through that fans aren't excited about, they'll let you know. And like now, especially with everything going on with OpTic, uh, everybody's a little sensitive right now, especially OpTic fans.
Yeah, definitely. I can see why too.
Mhm.
Some of the fan base is
Yep.
optic.
Mhm.
And but really I also think it's just fear of the unknown or fear of change. That doesn't mean it's going to be a bad thing. Like we can look at SKT Telecom over in League of Legends right there. Who would have thought all those players would have left and just be Faker that's left on that team over the years?
Mhm.
Happens. It simply happens. Or just any of your favorite sports teams out there. It just happens after a while, and you can keep watching, or you can just not watch. That's fine too. If you really don't want to watch, don't watch if it's not entertaining to you anymore. But
Yeah.
the thing is, though, it's like these decisions aren't in anyone's hands except pretty much Bobby Kotick's hands.
Yep.
So what's going on out there? Best we can do is just sit there and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
See what happens. It's like it's just like freaking out during a game, going through rituals when your field goal kicker is lining up. Really not going to impact the game. So, the only thing you can do is just sit there and enjoy it.
Yeah. I think even Codburner said, he was like, "There's nothing we can do about these decisions except just sit back and just let it happen, because we don't have any impact on these decisions. These decisions have probably been made already months, if not years in advance. The Overwatch League was in development. I believe it was like 2 years, 3 years, or something like that.
Oh, well before the game was created.
Yeah, yeah,
They
like
built the game just to have that, so
there you go.
that's all right there.
Like you said, like, these people aren't thinking about what DLC or whatever's gonna be coming out within the next couple of months. They have roadmaps that are going years and years and years down the pipeline. So
Actually, like they already have specs on the next gen consoles, so they're already preparing down the pipeline those games.
yeah, there you
They have
go.
certain graphics on there or certain requirements.
Exactly. Like,
Oh,
there's things that they know that we don't even like have an inkling of, like, hints towards, of, like you said, with the specs and all of that. I'm sure there has been so many different types of research done for Call of Duty to figure out if what city's better than this city for the demographics, if there's more players in, say, Los Angeles than there is in San Diego, so then that helps with deciding where to find the franchising. Like, there's so many different things that
well,
people aren't even
it's not
thinking
just
of.
Activision that's doing that. It's I assume all of these franchises
Oh, I'm sure all of
are
these
doing the same
people,
thing too.
yeah,
Everybody
mhm,
bidding. Like
everybody
you're not
bidding
going to go into a situation pretty much risking $100 million without sending out
without
I
doing
think
your research and your
$5,000
homework.
for market
Exactly,
research for a specific
exactly,
city. I mean,
exactly.
we can just sit there and enjoy the ride, and hopefully it works out for the best. But I'm sure Hector and Optic, all those guys are still going to be around. Kind of like
Yeah,
what Krim said. End of the day, he's the player. The only thing he can focus on is his next match. And yeah, it's fun to speculate about what's going on, but the day, it is what it is, and
Yes.
hopefully it's an entertaining product. Willing to bet it's going to be because these aren't dumb people coming in. There's a lot of money going into this too, unlike the H1 league. Outside of that, it'd be great to have OpTic around in some fashion next year, but supposedly we're not even going to have org names anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like, does it
Does it
really
really
matter at that
matter?
point in time?
Mhm.
Then
Yeah.
really, if you think about it too, Houston Outlaws are technically not even an OpTic team because was it Flamesword? He did a video where he broke down all the subsidiaries of esports. There's a different holding company for Houston Outlaws than there is for OpTic Gaming. The
Mhm.
Houston Outlaws isn't even directly owned by OpTic; it's just owned by the same parent company. That's kind of interesting as well too, but that's pretty standard. Like I know Cloud9 has their LCS spots, a holding company as well too. So well, I could, yeah, I guess they probably have their LCS spot in another LSC as well too. So maybe that's what they're selling off specifically. I don't know. That's probably what Immortals is bidding on, I'd
Yeah.
imagine. But
Yeah,
they only
they're
raised
yeah, it seems
30
like their
million.
yeah, their main focus seems to be that LCS spot. Um like especially with Call of Duty, like if you're going to stick with Call of Duty for the rest of this year anyway, you're pretty much already saying that you're at least going to be trying to shoot for a spot next year.
Yeah.
And that's a
Well,
25 million minimum.
minimum, but that's not even counting any sort of apron you need on top of that for ops. So
Mhm. Yeah,
it's like
it's
25
it's a
million.
huge
Yeah,
investment. Yep. Yep. Yep.
extremely huge investment,
Yeah.
especially even for just a Series A or a seed raise right there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Generally quadruple what the regular amount would be, so it's not easy to for entities to secure this cash if they don't already have it laying around.
Yeah. I'm honestly I'm interested to see if there's going to be any more of the Overwatch League teams that hop in. But the first round was already made, so I'm not too sure, but I mean, I'm definitely intrigued to see who else is jumping into the ring. I believe there's 12 slots this
I thought
year.
Overwatch is at 20, right?
Over no,
20?
Overwatch is at like 16 or something like that right now.
Yeah, something like
And
I
then
think
the
Overwatch launch was 12.
no, well, their launch was 12, and then they bumped it up. Then they got, I think it was 6 this past off season, so that would be 18, I think.
Pretty sure it's 20 if I had to guess.
League team. Well, yeah, either
They
way.
they had Paris, Vancouver, 4 Asian teams. Yeah,
Uh,
and there's
yeah.
another North American team.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Iceland, yeah, somewhere around
definitely.
there.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I mean, we all know there's interest in it. Um, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna see how. I mean, with Call of Duty, I guess they're just gonna have to try and stick with like Twitch and all of that because I don't know how Call of Duty's gonna work for like a wider audience for like broadcasting on like say like ABC on
Like
Saturday and
Overwatch is doing
Sunday
right
morning.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd assume they toned down the spectator client, disabled blood or something. You know what I mean? Disabled body dismemberment.
Mhm.
Because obviously you can't have that
Yeah.
on cable on a
Well,
broadcast
yeah, that was part
TV.
of the problem with what was it, the H1 league? They were supposed to do like a broadcast, and then the Vegas shooting happened, and then they had to take the broadcast down or something like that. So maybe if they could do something where like there's not like the red blood splatter or something like that, like
Yeah, you know the body dismemberment stuff.
yeah, like Fortnite kind of gets
Unless
away
they did
with
something
it
like
with
that.
that, but yeah, yeah, MLG TV, good old days. Um, no, honestly, I don't see them doing anything with MLG because they already have a thing with Twitch for Overwatch, and Twitch is the place to go right now for anything esports. I don't know of any other
This
competitor
is
right
not paying
now.
them a ton of cash for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, um,
Well, I
yeah.
do remember the MLG player client being pretty cool because you could lock
It was
your
cool because you
view
could
to
see,
one player,
yeah, you could select through the
watch whatever in
different
20.
views and whatnot. But like the players also signed like contracts specifically with MLG that they couldn't stream on Twitch. Um, that whole thing was interesting. But yeah, if anybody has any questions or whatever, please drop them in chat. We'll try to get them answered for you. We just passed the 2 hour mark. But to wrap it up, we talked about the OpTic situation, about what's going on with them now, and Immortals, what's going on with that. Obviously, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare trailer. Talked about cross-platform, FaZe Nickmercs, which still sounds weird to me. I'm still just gonna call him Nickmercs. It's a mouthful. But it's been a crazy ass week for esports. It seems like there's been something new happening every day. Um, it's certainly been interesting for us journalists here, but for like fans and whatnot, it's definitely been full of drama and whatnot. When was the last time Edgar went a week without eating a steak?
I'm sure. Whole, no, really. It's like, do you mean the whole steak? I mean, you might have a bunch of them around. I just might have one piece of it. Kind of see what I'm saying. It's kind of like a buffet table type.
That's
You
fair.
know what I mean? You just eat whatever.
Yep.
You know?
You're like Twitter. Like you really should open like a foodie Instagram or something, because you make me hungry at times. Especially the steak.
Oh yeah, it's a good time.
Um let's see. All right. All right. Well,
Anything else,
no,
guys?
doesn't seem like there's anything else. Are you gonna be streaming after this, or are you?
I've actually been. Well, no, I'd actually go out. I've been watching the NBA game right now.
Gotcha.
Well, throughout this whole thing. So
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair
pretty
enough.
good. Pretty good game. Looks like Toronto's about to win.
Yeah. Honestly,
Good time.
everything on my thing right now is just Drake, with him being his
Drake being
extremely
Drake.
excited self, which is fine. I'm excited for them, but. All right. Well, Edgar, thank you very much for coming on again and hanging out, chatting with me for a little bit.
No problem. It's been fun
Yeah, yeah.
watching the game, talking
Yep.
about Call of Duty,
Always,
other random stuff.
always a good time. Maybe after Anaheim or whatever, we'll do this again. We always keep it open. Um, yeah. Thank you very much for everybody who followed, subscribed. Thank you to Clickster and Bert the Blueberry for the follows, and thank you Words for the Prime. I appreciate you, and I hope everybody has a good night. And until next time, have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.